Hello and welcome back to Schoolscape live events here in our virtual world and space. We are so excited to have everyone with us today. We haven't had a virtual webinar in a while, so welcome back. And I hope that this new term has brought with it a lot of new life and energy, and everyone had a good rest. I feel like everyone's holidays were a long time ago by now. Right, today's topic, we're looking at everything solar and the benefits of solar for your school. And no matter where you are, I want to say if you started exploring solar, you jumped onto this journey already and you're halfway in, or whether this is completely foreign to you and you just think this is possibly a good idea, let me confirm it's a very good idea. The more that I have looked into this and explored this for schools with some incredible companies and with some incredible schools that I've been in discussion with, solar makes sense. And so in the next 3 sessions, so today, Wednesday morning, Friday morning, we're really going to unpack different aspects of solar. I'm trusting that the end goal, that once we've gone through all 3 sessions, is going to be that you have some tools and handles, some tricks, some insights, some wisdom, and just some valuable insight into where to go, what your next step is for your school in the solar journey. So today we have a jam-packed, very exciting agenda. We're going to kick off with an industry expert. His name is Tiger Galdenays, and he is from Trust Solar. Been in the industry many years, and Trust Solar has been around since 2017, servicing both residential, commercial, schools, and he's really going to unpack the benefits of solar. So if it was ever a sales pitch for solar, this would be it. And this is just to really lay the foundational groundwork on why this is such a good idea in the space of education. We'll have some other things going on today as well. So hi, Tiger, I can see you're on stage already. I'm almost going to be with you. So that is how we're going to start today. We're also going to hear from a school that is completely off the grid that Tiger's company, Trust Solar, serviced. So we're going to have Nasli from junior college. They're going to be talking today and explaining that process that they went on with Tiger. And then after that, we have Felicity Barker. She's not shy to the Schoolscape stage. She's been with us many times. She's going to also unpack some things as to focus on where to start with things like LED lighting in your school, and also how to tackle load shedding and solar and some things around that. So we're going to get going. Later on, I'm going to unpack some of the more exciting things we have on Wednesday and Friday. Sneak peek would be, we're looking at financial models. So if you're here and you're scared about how we're going to finance this, I have the answers for you, no matter what kind of school you are, no matter what kind of quintile you fall into. There's a lot of that. And then Friday, we're going to have Woodridge show us some incredible things that they're doing with their solar, and also have some doctors and that actually come in and speak about some nitty-gritty things, and we're really excited about that. So I'm going to kick off. I'm going to hand over to Tiger. Tiger, welcome. You're a new friend to Schoolscape, so it's great to have you here today. We're really excited to hear just from all your years of being in solar, being in the industry, just really to start to unpack to schools, what is solar, where do we start, and what is this great benefit to schools. So I'm going to hand over to you, and I will see you back in a minute. Everybody, please ask questions in the questions or the chat part. Tell us where you're from. It's so good to have you here today. And at any point you think that Tiger and his team might be of benefit to your school, and if you would like to start to look at some feasibility studies with them and what the next steps would be, there's going to be a poll that goes live. Click yes in the poll, and we will then send you some more information on them or give you a connection to them. Awesome. Tiger, welcome, and over to you.
Yes, thanks, Ash. As you know, I'm Tiger Galdenays from Trust Solar, the director. We started this business back in 2017 when solar wasn't quite as viable as it is now. At the time, of course, Eskom was less expensive, and solar was more expensive, but that's not the case anymore. From our side, we've done many projects in the industry, from shopping malls to factories to complexes. One of our clients being a school as well, which you'll hear about just now, and the fantastic benefits and the savings they made was actually unbelievable. went far past what we thought it would actually. I think it's important to understand how solar works, because when you are familiar with something, it helps a lot. Solar basically produces power from light. Okay, so it's not like your traditional solar geyser panels that have got water running through them or anything like that. It actually produces power from light. It then changes that obviously into AC power, which powers the school, all right? In your case, it's quite important to understand the various types of systems, okay? You get grid tie systems, which will only provide power during the daytime. They do not have batteries. They will also not help in load shedding. So the reason why they shut down, because they would carry on feeding the grid if the road was being serviced or something like that, and could shock a technician down the road. So internationally, they are made to actually switch off. So when you're having a grid tie system, you must know, or getting quoted, that that is exactly what's going to happen. You then get hybrid systems, which are a combination of both, all right? And with these, and this is technology which has sort of become more available over the last year, I would say, more likely so, where you can power some of the stuff with the grid tie and some of it can be on a backup system, where you can have sort of computer rooms, the offices and things like that powered during load shedding, which is important. So when being provided with a quote, it's important you have a look at these. Do we have the battery backup system or don't we? Are we in a high load shedding area? Bearing in mind that a hybrid system will even use that free electricity at court at night to power the school, because there are still some things on, electric fencing, your computers, your servers, a few other things that are on at the school, maybe night events. I'm not sure, that lights need to be put on and so forth. All right. So remember to ask those two things. The benefit of solar, well, it's got to a stage where it's actually cheaper to pay off a solar system than it is to pay for the electricity it makes. So it's kind of a no-brainer going forward, really. And that's where the industry is at the moment. And that is also why it's absolutely inundated with, well, all solar companies. We're all pretty inundated at this stage with getting proposals out. We at Trust Solar, however, have got a very smooth system with regards to that. We can come out and see you. Once you've sent us your bills and things, we can actually come and see you with a desktop proposal, which will show you the benefits on your site, at your school, exactly more or less what you need. Obviously, after that, we'll maybe do some metering and just double check that everything does add up. But at least we can come straight up front with something that will, an offering to show you the benefits of solar going forward. As we know, Eskom is climbing at a rapid rate at this stage, and we expect to see a lot more increases, and it's going to become a very big expense, if it's not already, your Eskom bills or your utility bills. We also take care of all the SSG applications to the city of Cape Town, or in your areas, your municipalities. We have to apply to have the thumbs up to say, yes, the system can be put on. It is the correct design. You're not going to blow up the street or anything with the system you're putting in. So they got to give us the thumbs up to make sure that what we are doing is correct. After that, the system gets signed off by a COC inspector as well as an electrical engineer. So you've got a double whammy there, making sure that the system that we install is correct. It's also important for the funders to know that the installing company like ourselves know what we're doing. We've got the correct qualifications and tick all the boxes that need be with regard to that.
Okay, if I can quickly ask a question before you move on.
Yes.
One thing I was thinking is what are SSG certificates? I think from us on the outside who don't know a lot
Okay.
about that. So in terms of SSG certificates and that, what are the kind of certifications that schools would need on a municipal level?
Okay.
And yeah,
So
speak us through that a little bit.
100%. So SSEG stands for Small System Embedded Generation Application. Okay. It's an application we just put forward to the council. They then have a look at it and they say, all right, this system is fine. It's within the parameters of the national regulations, if you want to put it, and their local regulations, and we are now allowed to put it on. So the school itself doesn't have to have any certificates as such. The design needs to be approved by the city of, or whichever city it is, or municipal area needs to approve it to say they're happy with that installation. You know, and I think an important thing to touch on here as well is with regards to that and the different areas, because the school is closed a lot of the time of the year, all right, one wants to know what's going to happen with the extra generated power. So I know, like in City of Cape Town, we're allowed to feed the grid. And that's one of the reasons specifically also why they want to check that you are not feeding too much into the grid, for instance, and you're not going to blow up the streets, and that your neighbors are also all feeding into the grid at the same time on a Sunday afternoon when all businesses are closed, as an example. So, yes. But just recently, Eskom has now started allowing outside, not just Cape Town, nationally, feeding into the grid, which, like you will see with the junior college, which we'll talk just now, they actually overproduce, which has actually ended up in a case where the council kind of owes them money. Not that that will ever happen, that they'll get the money, but it offsets their night bill and early morning bill when the sun isn't as strong. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. I think before you jump into sort of your next thoughts, one thing I was wondering if a school sort of, okay, we're ready to hit play, is this a very sort of laborious process with the council and the municipality and that, or actually does it take quite quick to get sign off and to get the engineering sign off and that? How long is the actual turnaround on a project from sort of start to when you can actually get the panels up?
All right, that's a very good question, and it also depends on the time of year. So in our company, we have a dedicated person actually just doing SSG applications, Warren Mathley. We actually do that process, believe it or not, for other solar companies too, because it is a bit of a tedious thing to do. And Warren knows the guys at the council. He seems to get it through quite quickly. Sometimes we can get it through in 2 weeks. You know, as we get closer to the end of the year, everybody wants their solar systems in because it's financial year in February and they want to claim their 28% and so forth. So it's quite probably goes up to a month or 6 weeks, but generally we can get it through in a month. Let's just call it a month.
Sure, okay.
And it also depends from municipality to municipality. You know, some of the smaller areas, you can just walk in and kind of get it within a few days. So it all depends on the area. But once that is done, the actual installation process is quite quick. I mean, to put up a solar system, you know, it can take a week.
Sure.
You know,
okay.
100 kilowatt system, for argument's sake, which is big.
Yeah. Tiger, the one thing I see that John Edgar, I'm going to chip it in here in the questions tab, asked was, does Eskom give a rebate to those who go solar because they're relieving from the Eskom grid? I know he also mentioned a while ago that they gave rebates on having a solar geyser system because now you're saving them sort of on the weightage of the use of the school. Is there any kind of rebate like that, or is it actually your return on investment is great because you're no longer paying that much for solar?
So if you are a business, as an example, let's just get back so you'll understand. If you're a business and you're making a profit, which a school doesn't because it's a non-profit, unless it is a private school that is a profitable organization, they can actually claim back their Section 12B depreciation, like if they bought a bus, for instance, for the school to take the kids around. They would depreciate it over 5 years. But because it's a solar system, they can depreciate it over 1 year, which will equate to about 28% of the system coming back. So that is one incentive. But that will depend on school to school. Like I say, depending if it's a profitable private school or if it's a Model C, no. But the power that you can feed back into the grid, they're saying at this stage, I just need to make 100% sure, is 1-on-1. So if I'm feeding a rand back or paying a rand and I feed it back, I'll be getting a rand for my solar. And that is fantastic, because most times in the afternoon, around about 3 o'clock, the school's finished, and that extra power will be fed into the grid, which will offset the early morning when you start. So there is that incentive as well. Awesome. But obviously, the main incentive is complete reduction of your electricity bill. I mean, it's really, like I said, it's cheaper to actually pay one of these off than to pay the electricity that it makes.
Incredible. Okay, so I see there are some more questions specific to roof and steep and tile. Do you want to carry on a little bit, and then I'll come and loop back to these questions just now? But please keep asking your questions in the questions tab. They're great questions coming through.
Yeah, I think we can't go into too much detail as far as the systems and things concerned, because that will just confuse the people. You just need to know that we can do a design with the software that we have, with the electricity bills that you give us, and we can get that through to you within a few days. So you can already see what is going to be and what options you have, and what it's going to save you. The software that we use is so accurate. It goes back 15 years in weather patterns. So we know on your school, on that roof, facing that angle, with that equipment, it will produce so much electricity. The banks like us also to use this type of model, because they then know if they're loaning money to a business or a mall or to whatever, they know it's going to produce that amount of power and electricity to be able to afford them to buy the system. So within a few days, we can crack out a proposal for you, and you will have at least something in your hand to go back to the board or the parents association or whatever is needed to be at the school to make the necessary decision to say, fine, Trust, can you send somebody out to us? Let's have a look on site what the story is. Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so I think one question I would have is in terms of now schools and roofs and this and that. I mean, we think, we've got so many square meters of roof, we can just pluck solar down and start making money for the school. I know that's not the case. What can you actually put the solar panels on? And are there different kinds of solar panels that are used in different kinds of circumstances?
Okay, so panels, they will stay the same. All right, it's the mounting structure that will change. So if we have an asbestos roof, for argument's sake, we have certain dial screws and things that will go with that. If it is a tile mount, we have a tile mount bracket. We never make a hole through the tile. It slides under the tile into your beam, so there's no pressure on the actual tiles themselves. If it's IBR, we've got little clips. If it's clip lock, we don't even make a hole, just a little clip that goes on the top. Just goes on the top. So it's really depends on the roof. We do, however, there's a lot, of course, in Cape Town, and I'm sure the rest of the country has got, heritage buildings. And that could be a problem where we put the panels. That's the only limitation, really. But we can, and also you don't want to put panels on a south-facing roof. East-west is fine. North is fine. Preferably not south. Okay? Awesome. So if they look at their roofs, and flat is also fine. Flat is also good.
Okay. Right. Is there anywhere else in the school that they could put up solar?
Carports can be done as well. But generally find a school has got enough space. I mean, they've normally got a hall or the classrooms and stuff like that. Okay.
One question, someone pushed through an interesting question actually on I think our LinkedIn account earlier and said that they had an issue with asbestos in their roofs, so that they would have to change sort of their roof and their structure and get rid of the asbestos before they could look into solar. Do you have any advice on this? Have you encountered this before in terms of hindrances as to why a school couldn't put up solar?
No, look, we're one of the only companies really that can do asbestos here in Cape Town. I don't know about the rest of the country. And it is more difficult. There's no denying that. We've actually got a very big one. We're starting soon in Atlantis. So we've got to make sure where we walk, we mark it out. We make sure that the guys are on safety lines for in case the asbestos gives away. When we put the hole through, we put it through to the beams and we bitumen that closed. So there's no leaking or anything like that. And doesn't matter what roof it is, we will go around and see if there's any potential leaky spots or things like that and actually fix it before we put the panels on to make our own life a bit easier, obviously. Not having to.
So it is doable.
Yeah, but it's not all. You can have old roofs, schools have old roofs, a lot of buildings we deal with. So if there's a leak, we track it, we find it, and we normally find out after the first rain or two, you know the story. But generally the clips and the things we use are made not to make holes if necessary, and to really avoid that type of thing. The mounting structures themselves come with about a 10-year warranty. The panels with a 25-year performance warranty. So you don't have to worry about the system all of a sudden, not working and that type of thing. You've really covered on all of that.
Awesome. Okay. I think one or two last questions that I wanted to pass through to you is someone asked, is it possible to set up a system without batteries? Does it make sense to do so?
Yes.
Would you suggest schools go with batteries, or is it not necessary for a school?
It's not necessary. The grid tie system is your most cost-effective way to go, and that is 90% of your commercial projects, or even more, will go just with a plain sort of grid tie system. It's purely there to save you off your electricity bill and save you a lot of money. Once you add batteries, you see there's different ways of doing it. When you say add batteries, one can add batteries. For instance, for the whole school, that's not cost effective and it's never going to be necessary. Or like we did in the case of junior college, for instance, we put some in just to run certain parts of the school. Then it's cost effective, like the computer room or the reception. You can't have the phone lines keep going down when parents are calling because your PBX system is not working. So we'll put something like that in, which is cost effective, just to keep the main things on that need to be on. But the rest of the school, if there was a load shedding, they would not have electricity. But yes, hopefully load shedding won't be too much going forward, depending on which areas we are. But the main thing is a cost saving. Think about the cost saving going forward and what you'll be paying for electricity in 5 years' time compared to now. Double whatever you're paying now.
Awesome. Okay. I think I'm going to close out with this last question, and then Tiger, please jump onto the questions tab. If you can see there's any there that you can answer that haven't been answered live, please do so. There's quite a few questions in there, but the last thing that maybe we should touch on, and that is, we're talking about a great return on investment. It is a lot cheaper. We're going to hear a lot about the financial models of not having to do CapEx, being able to pay it off over time. How long does the solar panels last before we have to do this exercise again for our school?
Okay. The panels actually come with a 25-year performance warranty. Their degradation is at about 4% per annum. So after 25 years, they're still working at like 90% odd. So you don't even have to change it after that. You can just carry on using them. The inverters that we use these days are smaller, quieter, more powerful. With all the bells and whistles, you can see on your phone exactly how much power the school's using, how much of that is coming from solar. That app can go on all the parents. It can even fit on the kids' cell phones as an exercise to see what's happening, from a training point of view. So there's a lot of things that we can do with regards to that. But yeah, even though the inverters come with a 20-year warranty, so you're not going to be changing that system anytime soon at all. And you can do a service level agreement, which is very cost effective, and we will make sure that system runs all the time.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for all the questions coming through. There's some very specific questions there. Tiger, I will leave those to you to address.
Thank you. I'll tackle it now. I'm having a look here.
We are going to then, Tiger, we'll bring you on later if we need to shoot a highly technical question back to you. But we're going to move on to then junior college. So thank you very much. I'm going to pop. There we go. So next up, we are going to have a chat to Nazli. She is from junior college. So she, I think, let's actually start with, I want to show you their school. So while I introduce you to Nazli, I want to actually give you a good idea of what the school looks like and what the actual solar project looks like. So here is their school. This is junior college in Ottery on a nice cloudy South African day. But there is the school, and then on top of the school, there are the solar panels. So junior college has been going for the last 23 years. It's got 300 kids in the actual school. It's a low fee school, but a private school in Cape Town. So it's a good way to see that almost any school can actually afford solar. And this is what makes solar absolutely amazing. And if you join us tomorrow, you're going to hear a lot about the different financial models that make so much sense for schools and that actually makes solar attainable for, I would want to say, almost every school, but most schools. So junior college went with Trust Solar, but we are going to invite Nazli on stage now, and she is going to actually talk us through the solar journey, the whys, the hows, the challenges, the successes, and they've actually got a system where they are completely off the grid with their school. So this is one of the few schools that we found that actually has gone absolutely independent, off the grid, and actually has Eskom owing them money, though we've discussed it earlier. We don't think they're going to get paid. Welcome, Nazli. Thank you for joining us today. It's great to have you here.
Good morning. Thank you very much for granting me the opportunity and to discuss Trust Solar Systems with everybody that's interested.
Great. Nazli, I think by introduction, I want to introduce you also to everyone and tell everyone why this was in your own best interest as well, as Nazli is the co-owner of the school and the accountant of the school. So it is very much in her interest to see this be a cost-benefit exercise to the school. And it really just proves to us why solar is such a good idea for schools. And it is so highly beneficial. So I'm going to hand over to you, Nazli. You can share with us your journey, and then I'll come back to asking some questions. If anyone has questions for Nazli, please pop them in the questions tab, and we will pose them to her afterwards.
We started looking around for solar systems during 2019, and I was looking at the electricity bill that we are having to pay. We paid 5,000 to 6,000 Rand a week, 5,000 plus during summer months, and over 6,000 Rand a week during winter months. And I noticed that because we have a three-phase Eskom system, that we were paying much more than the ordinary household person. And being a school, we were charged on a daily rate. So if we buy per week, then the next week we would be charged a daily rate. And I noticed this and looked at the bills, and I was starting to become worried because I felt that we just could not afford it at that time. And I realized that our bills will be much higher as time goes on. I then scheduled a meeting with Tiger, and I showed him the weekly bills, and he worked out the cost. And we felt that it's a wise decision to actually take up the offer. Tiger calculated that we would recover our investments over 5 years, but we actually recovered it within 3 years. We decided to pay cash, as I'm not really a person to like to pay interest. And the bank interest at that time was quite high, so we paid cash. And then afterwards, when load shedding started, we decided that we are going for the inverters into our reception area, computer area, and all our offices. So all the plugs was working, we had internet, we could do photocopies, we could use our telephone, all of that was done. And since April 2009, we were feeding back into the grid. And when our project was completed, Tiger installed an app onto our phone where we could view the daily amount of consumption that we were pumping back into the grid, the consumption that we were actually using, and also how much we are saving. So if we have it on our laptops and we have it on the app on our telephone. And what I've noticed for this year alone, we've pumped back far more than what we've used. And during the holidays, we don't use electricity at all. So there we are also saving. So we have not received an electricity bill since 2009. And we are very happy because we saved a great deal of money. We also went with LED lighting. So we've put LED lighting into all the schools. This was also recommended by Tiger. And it was an investment, but it was worth the investment once again. I'm unfortunately the person that looks at the rands and cents, so I feel that we really made a big saving, a huge saving. The appliances could be used, and we don't use the geyser because it's not necessary, so we're saving on the geyser. And we are also, we saved on the depreciation, because we bought the unit in 2019, the next following year ending, we saved on depreciation, and we are still doing it we did it for the next 5 years. So that is what we did, and we saved a great deal of money.
Amazing. Nancy, thank you. It's such a good story. I think also what's so exciting, and I must mention it, is even though Nancy and them have a smaller school, you know, the ability to scale solar with a school that is bigger, with more learners. You might say, oh, well, we've got a 2,000 person school. Well, great. You also have 2,000 capacity of your school, and we can put more solar panels on the top of your roof. And I just think that there's something so amazing that solar, in the way that it is brought to our market at the moment, with the different kinds of financial models that you're going to hear, makes it affordable to most. So please let it not scare you off. You think, oh, we can never do it out of a CAPEX model. There's brilliant models that we're going to show you tomorrow that do make a lot of sense. That's still going to incur just as much saving. So I wanted to just check now, Mansley, you say you are off the grid completely, you're pumping back in. I know that you went to batteries a while ago to kind of harvest and harness some of that power for load shedding. What does that actually then turn on in your school during load shedding?
We installed the inverter that Tiger mentioned. So because we're not a big school, we don't have electricity during load shedding, but all our offices and our telephone does work. So our telephone system, all our offices, all our plugs, all our admin, those are all covered during load shedding.
Awesome, awesome. Okay. Now, just out of interest sake, how many kilowatts do you know is your system producing at any sort of offhand? I think I know this, so now you're going to dig deep on this one. And if something happened with a solar panel, say it broke, would it be easy to see, or would you have to go for quite a while before you realized that there was, it was limited in what it was bringing in and storing?
Everything is on the app. So you can actually see what's happening, how the consumption is being pushed back into the grid. So if it's not pushing back, then you would realize there's something wrong. But the guarantee is 25 years, and the solar system that Tiger installed is not the Chinese one. So it wasn't the Chinese one, it was the Norwegian one. So there's a difference in the product that we chose. And I feel, we do maintenance on our school on a regular basis, and there's nothing wrong with it. Everything is working. So I don't know, 2019 to 2021, that's a long time.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I think, Nancy, the last question I have, I think in many of the schools will be thinking this out there. Did you bring this to your parents and your learners? Have you kind of exposed your learners to the system and explained the importance of it? Have you used it for anything in that regard?
Yes, we did. We shared the video with everybody, all the children and the parents, and we gave them the amount of what we were spending per week, and what the investment was, and how we have saved money for the school for the last 10, 11 years.
Awesome. Okay. Nancy, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time today. Just sharing your story. It's a great story. It's such a good way to save money as a school and have money to do the other necessary things that are important in education. So well done. Well done for going on this journey. I think you might have been one of the originals, but it's great to have you here at Schoolscape, and it's great to hear the story. And we hope to see you again. Have a lovely day further. And we're going to then click on to our next session. Up next, we have the lovely Felicity Barker. There's a couple of questions that I see coming through, like, do we have to change all the lights and the geysers and the appliances to make it more energy efficient? And, what do those things look like? Nasli mentioned having batteries backup to be able to run their phones and their admin systems. And so, we know from a Schoolscape side, a school is so much more than just keeping the lights on in the classroom. It is really a back-end business that you are running. And this, as much as the school needs stable connectivity, and that all needs to be run with electricity, your parents need to be able to get hold of you. So there's a lot that goes with load shedding at a school, and the energy challenges that schools are facing at the moment. So Felicity is going to chat to us a little bit about all the things around solar, as well as just their role from Toshiba Cape Town in solar, and why they've decided as a company to branch out and to start looking for solar partners. So Felicity, if you haven't met her here before, she is the MD of Toshiba Cape Town, and welcome. You have chatted to us about LED lighting before. I think you preempted the solar revolution for schools, but we're really looking forward to hearing what you have to say today, Felicity.
Thank you. Hi, Ash, and hi, schools. It's always a joy and a blessing to be here. So thank you for the opportunity again. You're probably wondering how Toshiba Cape Town found themselves involved with solar, and that's a very fair question. Eskom's general unreliability has forced us to evaluate how we could keep a business functional during continued load shedding. And also our machines need electricity, and our copiers and payback systems quite often blow boards due to this unrelenting load shedding. So we began to look for inverter solutions and for the best inverter solutions. So that started our journey. We also understood that you can't be a specialist in every area, so we adopted the philosophy of partnering only with the best partners in every sphere. So initially, about 6 years ago, we developed a partnership with Rubicon Lighting, and they are associated and part of the Rubicon Renewable Energy Group. So Rubicon Renewable Energy provides top quality solar and inverter equipment in South Africa, including Tesla products. And I'm a huge fan of Elon Musk, so that piqued my attention. Not only do they develop their own cutting edge equipment, but they also manufacture it and sell it. For example, they turned the traditional geyser model on its head, which is very exciting for me. Normal geysers lie horizontally, and they have developed a geyser that stands vertically, and it connects to the internet. So it's part of the Internet of Things. So you can control your geyser through your smartphone, which I think is fantastic. And also due to the science of it, it saves money on heating up the water because it's standing up. So hot air rises, hot water rises, and the water is tapped off the top. So they manufacture the equipment, and they're also the only Tesla importer in South Africa. They are the Tesla uses them as the Africa supplier. So they have a Tesla car, which is so exciting. But anyway, they have solutions that are particular to the South African market. We also sell other, we also have access to other inverters with lithium batteries from Germany, Norway, and various other places. So as we began to research the whole power problem, we began to realize that it all starts with lighting. And in fact, my interest in lighting was piqued about 5 years ago when I helped write a tender with Rubicon Lighting for the City of Cape Town streetlights. I bet you didn't know that about me, Ash. We showed them a solar street light solution connected to the Internet of Things, where the department would be notified when the LEDs failed or needed replacing. And where there was no foot traffic or car traffic, the lights would dim, but would brighten when they sensed car and foot traffic. In fact, we created a proof of concept for the City of Cape Town, where we installed solar streetlights on a street, and it was overseen by the City of Cape Town. They were seeing the quality of the installation, how solar actually worked, how functional it would be, etc. So that said, solar streetlights are a great way to light up your school grounds, simply because you don't have to have any electrical infrastructure. You simply plant these jolly things in the ground, and they function and give light and security for your school grounds. So they require no electricity connection. So lighting is actually the beginning of an electricity saving solution for your school. As our classrooms move towards smart classrooms, your lighting can follow suit, with lights automatically going off when students leave, automatically coming on when students enter, dimming when there's an abundance of natural light, and ensuring that the light quality is optimum for a learning environment. As you know, LEDs don't cost a massive amount to change out, so we are involved in that process. Toshiba Cape Town's next goal was to connect with a reliable, hands-on installer. There are so many flakes out there, so we had to do our homework quite well. And one whose company ethos was compatible to ours, a company who always puts the client first. So we met Tiger when he became a client of ours, incidentally. First off, Tiger, your paperwork was excellent. It was impeccable. It was ordered. And Tiger was in all aspects professional and very busy. So to us, that meant that he was doing well. We then researched his installations. We found a lot of people who were very happy with him, happy with his company, and happy with the quality of his work. The aspects that I personally value most in Trust Solar is that Tiger is a hands-on gentleman. Every morning he goes out to his teams, he oversees everything is running as it should. And he has an abhorrence of companies who add excessive profit to their projects, which is right a value add that we have in our company. So together with Trust Solar and Rubicon, we can supply and install nationally. We offer a full solution. So Tiger offers a quality, no cost, no commitment quoting system. We procure only top quality equipment. We don't do cheap and easy. The installations are quality and timeous. We checked on that. And we apply for he applies, they apply, their office applies for the appropriate municipal licensing on your behalf, and we can also integrate financing. I hope that this answers your initial question of how does a copier company find itself selling solar? And if you're thinking of getting a quote for inverters or for LED, please contact us. We'd love to meet you.
Yes, awesome. Felicity, thanks. I think what's great is we've known Felicity in the industry and where she's worked with schools for years in different areas. So she really understands the needs of a school. I think that it was a natural next progression to see you guys go into this area and put together a beautiful offering. And so thank you for this. I think I've seen quite a few questions around lights and that come in. If you can expand a little bit, Felicity, on the process of LED lighting and changing it. Does a school now need to come and change every single light bulb in their whole school? Is it a ginormous cost in doing so? Would they save enough to justify it in the long run? So just so that we have a better understanding of how this fits also into that cost-saving mechanism with solar.
Absolutely. So the big costs are the large lights, the high bays, the ones that are in your assembly halls, the ones that are on your sports fields, the ones that are in your the street lamps that are lighting up your school grounds. Those are the big ones that we can go after. But actually, essentially, if you're going to do a migration, we can easily, the cost saving that through the financing model, what you save on the actual installation, you would actually make up on your cost saving. So to me, it makes sense to do it this way. It really does. And if you're going to do it, start with your lighting, but definitely put on your grid tie system, move to inverters when you need it. But it makes sense. And as junior college found out, Mrs. Sali was saying that, it really, really has been something that they've been able to recoup. I mean, we just had Eskom go up again a short time ago. So it makes sense. I think over a 5-year period, you're going to be golden.
Awesome. Okay. So if I have it right, the idea would be is get your usage down by changing to LED lighting. There are ways to do it cost effectively where you will have a good return on it. Get that down, get a hold of a solar company, see how much usage it is, and then move forward from there. So that, am I correct in saying that the idea around the starting point of LED lighting, because there's a lot of questions around this, would be to start to save or to use less electricity?
Ash, I don't know. I just think it makes sense to actually make the change, to be quite frank. Yes, using less electricity, but where are you going to cut? And at the end of the day, when is Eskom going to be? Coburg went down this last week end actually. So I just think that the generators are old. They will break down. We need to find a new system to be able to ensure electricity security, because it does affect your phones, it does affect your connectivity, it affects everything. And the other thing I want to say is that we do also do national supply. So wherever you are in the country, we have a lovely partnership relationship with all kinds of other people, or solar Trust Solar does, that actually can service and support nationally.
Awesome. Okay.
And financing is not a big deal. Yeah.
Wonderful. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I think thank you so much, Felicity. It's always a pleasure to chat to you. If you do need to start to look at this kind of from a step one starting point, and you've done nothing so far on the solar front, it would be great to get hold of Felicity and the team. She brings together pretty much all the necessary aspects of what this project would need in one company. And yeah, I think years and years and years experience with schools, and the reliability of that does speak bounds, shall we say. So lastly, we're going to bring Tiger back on. We have some questions that have come through that I think we would like to actually address live. We are going to take a lot of these questions and turn it into a Q&A document, which will go onto our solar website where you registered as schools. And we'll put that up maybe by the end of the week so that we have a bit of a reference there to some of these questions. They're such good questions. Thank you so much for asking them. And so, yeah, I think welcome back, Tiger. It's good to have you back here. Felicity, we'll leave you down there if you want to jump in and give your 2 cents. You're always welcome to do so as well. But Tiger, there was a couple of questions that came through on where do you break even and return on investment? So how much does a school need to generate to break even, and why is it such a good return on investment? So I think also the idea would be is, how does a school make sure that they're going to generate enough electricity to make this financially a viable decision to do?
Okay. Firstly, when they send us their bill, we are able to see 2 things. The one is how much electricity they use. Okay. How much electricity they use. And secondly, what their tariff is. Because let's say, for instance, they're paying 1 rand per watt for the electricity. Every unit we provide will take 1 rand away from the electricity. But if they've got a 3 rand per watt bill, it will take 3 rand. So the system will pay off quicker. So the higher the tariff, like in Mr. Sali's case, they had a massive tariff. It was crazy high. I think it was 3 rand something. So the minute we put on the system, the payback came down to 18 months, 3 years, I think she said. So that was very quick. Generally, a business these days, with a normal sort of bill of about 1.80 rand per unit, you can look at, if it's a profitable organization and you can claim back the Section 12B, you're looking at about 2-year payback. If it's a school, you're probably looking at about 3.5 if they can't claim the Section 12B. So as far as the sizing is concerned, we can see what the average consumption is. And from there, we are able to size the system for the desktop. Obviously, we will meter it to make sure we're in the correct, but generally, it's quite accurate the way we do it without even having done a metering. So the proposal we offer is 90% there.
Awesome. Okay. That's really good. So one thing that Mrs. Sali said from junior college is that they put batteries in to turn on the lights and the electricity and the plugs and that in certain areas of their school.
Yes.
Would it be possible to put in enough batteries, or would it just be too expensive, that could actually power the whole school over load shedding?
Okay.
So how would that be possible?
Yes. So in Mr. Sali's case, they had a 20 kilowatt system, which was a grid tie system. So it didn't need batteries. When the sun came up, it pushed Eskom back, ran the school. When the sun came down, went down, Eskom flowed back in. You get a hybrid system, like I discussed before, which you can put a battery bank on. So even since Mr. Sali's time, technology has changed a lot, and we now have very nice hybrid systems that can you can run a school. There's no reason why you can't. It's just very expensive. So we would tie in the circuits that need to be, like, for instance, a computer room where the kids are learning. Or if you're a private school and the kids have all got computers, then you would need to do something like that if you had too much load shedding. So yes, it is possible to do. It's not that it's impossible. And we can give all the options. The grid tie is obviously the most cost-effective, biggest saving. But when the solar panels have got to pay back a whole battery bank underneath it, one's got to have a look at it. Because you must remember that those battery banks don't get cycled at night because the school's closed at night. So if you were a factory catching free electricity in the day, 4 at night, that's a different story. They're working. But, is a school really going to use that battery bank? You can put one in that will last maybe 2.5, 3 hours for load shedding. And that little bit at night will probably last you 12 hours at night because there's not much on, maybe the whole night. So that effectively would take you off the grid.
Awesome. You can see my lights are on not on movement timers. So because I haven't moved, they've turned off. Very appropriate. There we go. Back on. Okay. So I think that there was a question that came through, and I don't know if you can answer or speak into any of this. But what I wanted to say is, I see Hugo asked about permissions from the Department of Education on loan and financing agreements that a school would enter into. So I'm not sure if you want to touch on that, or shall we leave that for tomorrow? We're going to really look at these kind of questions, loans, financings tomorrow, not tomorrow, on Wednesday's session. We have some wonderful companies that have aligned themselves with the Department of Education that can speak into that. But I mean, in terms of that, is there anything that you could give today for this audience that would be able to speak?
I'll let Felicity speak about that, but generally there are funding models that are for schools, but Felicity will be able to give you more information on that.
Yeah. So there's easy ways around it. We deal with different quintile schools all the time. So and it's pretty. So we're very familiar with working with the Department of Education. So what we do, we simply take a proposal that would be given to them that shows their cost saving. And we've got 5-year and 8-year repayment solutions for schools with Mercantile Bank and other banks. And the Department of Education is very, very excited about schools coming off the grid, because they know that a lot of schools are very indebted to Eskom. And so any help in this regard is very well received. I've actually been to the Department of Education and spoken to them about it, and they've been very positive about solar.
Awesome. Okay, that is helpful. Thank you, Felicity. Hugo, I hope that can help a little bit in terms of what you were asking around that. Then probably Tiger, this one's for you, a prepaid meter. So John Edgar wants to know could he send a proof of payment of purchase, and would that be enough to do an evaluation? Because they obviously are not getting an electricity bill.
No, it's fine. So you guys would know, you can send me one of those, because that will give me an indication of how much you're paying for your electricity. And secondly, more or less how much you're putting in per, for the month. You normally put whatever, $5,000, and that lasts you to the third week, and then you maybe put another 2, so you're using 7. From there, I'll be able to judge.
Okay, awesome.
Just for the initial desktop proposal.
Okay, so like we said in the beginning, if you want more information or to be connected back to Tiger or Felicity, just go onto the polls, click yes. It's our way of navigating the POPI Act. We obviously cannot share any school's information out, so please do so. Otherwise, if you've shared your information, Tiger, there's a couple of people in the questions tab that said, please contact me. Here's my email and telephone number, so you can jump on there. So I'm going to say thank you to Tiger and Felicity for today. Thank you for such valuable insights, information, for answering all of our million questions. As excited I am about solar, about the environmental impact on it and just how much sense this makes financially for schools. It's been such a fun learning curve for me as well. So I'm sure all the schools out there very much appreciate this discussion. And yeah, I'm going to drop you off stage now, but thank you and have a great day further.
Thank you.
Bye. Great, there we go. Okay. So to wrap up then today, everybody, we thank you so much for joining us. Firstly, I hope that we've got to answer most of your questions. We are going to take these questions and put them into a Q&A document from today, from Wednesday, and from Friday. Now, just to focus on Wednesday's session, we are going to look at all things financial models. We have an amazing company called the Sun Exchange that has developed an incredible crowdfunding model. The school that's going to come speak, Cape Town High School, one of the oldest high schools in Cape Town, they crowdfunded theirs in one day. So there's a lot of excitement out there around schools and education and getting solar. But really, we're going to look at all things to do with financing, all kinds of agreements, all kinds of models, and that on Wednesday, so don't miss that. I know that since I started speaking to these companies, I have learned so much, and I already had a general interest in solar and green energy before that. So thank you, for today's session and for joining us. We look so forward to having you here on Wednesday. Just a quick note, on Friday, we will be talking likely to Woodridge. They had an incident where some of their school burnt down years ago, and they put a ginormous solar system in, but they're doing such interesting things with that solar power. So that will be a really nice one to have you join on, a case study. We're going to look at that school. And then we're also going to look at a couple of different interesting aspects of solar and the usage of solar in your schools that you may not have thought on after that. And we're also going to be chatting to the ex-Insidians operations manager that did the step-by-step planning of their solar system that's been implemented since she's left, and also at what would benefit of putting your solar implementation out to tender possibly to save further and get credible companies to do it. So that is looking ahead, but today we really hope you enjoyed it. It's so good to have you here with us. We look forward to seeing you again on Wednesday at 11 o'clock. If you missed any of today's session, you will see the replay will start here afterwards as soon as I say goodbye and end the event, and you can then catch up on the first bits of today's session. But from us at Schoolscape, again, good to have you, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday.